City News on TV Rotorua is proudly brought to you by Trade Central.
Kia ora, tonight on City News. Improvements to Rotorua's City Ride bus network are a step closer now the re-tender process is finalised. Rotorua Lakes Councillor Janet Wepper is encouraging locals to apply to the Neighbourhood Matching Fund, and a home semi-final for Rotorua Central in their quest to win Bay of Plenty Cricket's Williams Cup. Improvements to Rotorua's City Ride bus network are a step closer to being implemented, with the awarding of the contract to operate the network to the existing operator Revesby Coach Lines. Chair of the Public Transport Subcommittee and Bay of Plenty Regional Councillor Lyle Thurston says he was thrilled with how the tender process had gone and with the level of interest in it. He says it's enabled the council to start planning ahead to the network, which will benefit both the passengers and the central city. As part of the re-tender process, improvements to the Rotorua service will include having all buses travel on a new Central City Loop route to help support the revitalisation of the city's central business district. The new loop will take passengers along Fenton, Arawa, Amohia, Rotorua Central Mall and Victoria streets. Buses will also have bike racks, and the network will operate on public holidays, the first one being Labour Day. The changes will come into effect in mid-2015 when the new contract for operating the buses will begin. Pacific Island emergency service workers and fire and police all spent time last week in Rotorua looking at the latest urban search and rescue or USAR technique and equipment. The gathering is part of the Pacific Island Emergency Management Alliance, created to increase training and to share knowledge between island communities, Australia and New Zealand.
We had a big meeting in 2012 in Nandi, Fiji, where we had what's called the Pacific Platform on Disaster Risk Management, and as part of that meeting we had the three groups there for the first time, and it was agreed at the meeting that there should be an alliance of emergency management, both management and responders, whereby there could be a common focus in things moving forward. Focus on interoperability, a common incident management system, common training and so on across the Pacific. So something that we are looking at modelling out of New Zealand and Australia.
Rotorua Lakes Councillor Janet Wepper is encouraging locals to apply to the Neighbourhood Matching Fund for community projects. Mrs Wepper says grants of up to $35,000 are available 3 times a year.
Well, the Neighbourhood Matching Fund we started about a year ago, and we put aside $150,000 a year. And the idea is that you can apply for the funds so that if you match it with voluntary labour, we will help you. And it's normally around small projects. To date, it's only been taken up by fairly small projects, so you can apply for up to $5,000 practically any time throughout the year, which is quite different to a lot of other funds. And we do have 3 rounds a year where you can apply for money over $5,000 for big projects. So it's basically supporting communities to do work that they think is important.
In sport tonight, Rotorua Central Element IMF cadets Karis Mount Maunganui and City Sports Te Puke booked berths in the Williams Cup playoffs after results were posted in the last round of the qualifying competition on Saturday. The Williams Cup is the biggest prize in Bay of Plenty cricket, and leading into playoffs, Rotorua play a home semi-final against Ultimotoi cadets this weekend. The winner of that game will go straight to the final, while the loser will play the winner of the other semi-final between the 3rd and 4th placed teams, Mount Maunganui and Te Puke. In other weekend sports news, the Chiefs took out the Stormers 29-18 in Cape Town early yesterday morning, showing the table toppers they mean business this season. The win also sets the team in a positive frame as they continue on their South African trip, aiming to finish with a solid performance against the Sharks at Growth Point Kings Park in Durban. And the news not so good for the Bay of Plenty Magic, who went down 51-48 to the unbeaten Melbourne Vixens at the Mount last night. It's the Magic's second loss after 3 rounds, adding pressure to their round 4 match up against the Tactics on Sunday. To your weather update now. Tonight, rain clearing, southerlies easing and an overnight low of 12. Tomorrow, Tuesday, mainly fine, a few evening showers, southwesterlies, a high of 21 and a low of 6. And looking out to Wednesday, mainly fine with southwesterlies easing, a high of 19 and a low of 8. And the marine weather forecast, southwest 20 knots easing to 15 knots early in the morning, with waves easing to less than half a metre in the morning with cloudy periods. Still to come tonight on City News, we're with Ross Powell at the Regional Council. We catch up with Jane Enon at the Citizens Advice Bureau, and we talk with Rotorua Lakes Councillor Trevor Maxwell about Te Matatini and the upcoming Opera in the Pa.
City News on TV Rotorua is proudly brought to you by Trade Central.
We're so blessed around this beautiful city to have some gorgeous lakes that we're able to spend our hot summer days in, but we also have to share them, don't we? With me today from the Bay of Plenty Regional Council is Maritime Safety Officer Ross Powell. Ross, why are we here today?
We need to get a very important message across.
Thank you. Tell us about it.
The message is the lakes are for everyone. Everyone's entitled to them. Everyone uses them, but we have to be safe about it. And we have a problem that's getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and that's people swimming in the ski lanes. So we need, especially our local people, which is very much a no-no. We need people, if you're going to go swimming, don't swim between the black and orange markers. Simple as that.
So it's just the black and orange markers that we watch out for?
Yep, so we can call them ski lanes, access lanes, whatever you want. The simple term is black and orange markers, don't swim between them, because there's the likelihood of a boat coming in doing anywhere between 40 and 60 kilometres an hour who may not see you. So stay away.
Stay away. And it's about safety, isn't it? That's why the markers are out there. That's why those different coloured buoys are out there, to keep us safe.
All about safety. You don't go and play ball on the motorway. Don't go and play in the ski lane, it's the same thing.
So have we had any reason for concern thus far?
Well, we have. We're tightening up on our regulations to keep people safe, and we've had concerns from people that are using the ski lanes that swimmers are in the road. So, we've been lucky we haven't had an accident, and we're going to avoid having one.
Absolutely. And so what lakes are we more endangering ourselves in at the moment?
We have our very, very popular lakes. Rotorua is one, Rotuiti is another one, Okaraka is another one. All our lakes with ski lanes are potentially risks for people. Do not swim in the ski lane.
Absolutely. And so how do we know, apart from the buoys, where the safe zones are? Are there any special markers that say you can swim here, or are we just looking out for the ones that say you can't?
If it's a black and orange post on the land, look for the second one and do not swim between them. It's that clear, that simple. We're not trying to confuse people. Just look for the black and orange posts and stay away.
Absolutely. So how has the summer scene been? We're almost out of summer now. We've just come into...
How can you say we're out of summer?
Oh, well, well, I didn't create the calendar, but hey...
This is a typical Rotorua day.
It is a typical Rotorua day. So how has summer been?
Generally, boating behaviour's been pretty good. We've had a dramatic increase in people wearing life jackets, which is very, very pleasing to see. Not just Rotorua, but Taronga as well. We've had a few people towing without an observer. The rule is it takes 3 to ski. You've got to have a driver, you've got to have someone observing, and obviously someone being towed. So boating behaviour is getting pretty good. Given that we have a lot of boats on our lakes, we're pretty happy with the season so far.
You're pretty happy with the season. Now, just with the rules and regulations around using engine-powered vehicles on the water, are there current licensing that people need to do, or if not, are there places where they can educate themselves about what the rules and regulations are?
Good question. No, we don't have licensing in New Zealand to drive a motor vessel of any description, unless it's a commercial operation. We recommend that everyone does a day skipper's course. Very simple. Contact your local Coast Guard. They'll steer you in the right direction.
Very nice. And for more information for our locals out there that they can find online, where would they go?
So they can visit the Bay of Plenty Regional Council website, or they can call the Harbour Master's office in whatever region they're in, and they'll you'll find we have Harbour Masters, wardens. We'll be happy to give out the information, and we have very, very simple guides that we can post out as well.
Very simple, because as you said, it's not about confusing you, Rotorua, it's about keeping you safe. Thank you very much, Russ, for your time. Is there anything you'd like to add?
Just be safe in the water.
Just be safe in the water. There you have it, Rotorua, from the Coast Guard Master himself, Maritime Officer, keeping us safe. Keep safe, Rotorua.
Kia ora everybody, welcome back. Well, I'm with Jane now from the Citizens Advice Bureau. Very nice lady. She's got an awareness week coming up next week that she'd like us all to know about, and we're looking for some volunteers too, aren't we, Jane?
That's right, yes. Yeah. First of all, the volunteers, we run a course once a year, and that's because it does take a lot of resources. We have 2 people who do the training and they put a lot into it, so we only offer it once a year. And it's a really cool course involving about 7 full days and then a couple of evenings, and volunteers or the trainees will learn all about all sorts of things like the basics of communication, listening and awareness, and then they move on to things like consumer law, tenancy law, employment law, family violence, all the sorts of topics that eventually one day someone might come in and ask them in the Bureau. So we're looking for people who are computer literate, I'm afraid, these days. Everything's very much on the computer. You know, we do searches on our cabinet database as well as occasional Google search, and then we record everything. So they need to be able to type and search. And people who have got a real interest in others and they care about them and want to give them advice without judging why they're here in this situation, able to listen and communicate and like to learn really, and love the city, love Rotorua and what's here.
Well, I think there's be quite a few of those people, because the city is pretty filled with some good sorts, isn't it?
We really are, and at the Bureau we've currently got 60 volunteers, and everyone thinks, wow, 60, that seems an awful lot, why do you need more? But, you know, they're all also very busy people that go on holiday, look after grandchildren, have young children, you know, and they need time off, and we just need to keep our numbers up. So we like to have 70 if we can.
So we're looking for another 10. Chuck in an extra couple,
Yeah.
baker's dozen would be good.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, and just for that safety. But tell me a little bit about, you know, what the life of a volunteer would be. How is it going to enhance their lives? Because surely, you know, when you do good things for other people, you feel good, don't you?
You certainly do, and that's what most of our volunteers say now, that, you know, they'd be lost without the Bureau, because they feel like they're giving something back to the community. They're using their life skills and experiences. Involves a duty once a week of about between 2.5 and 3 hours, and then you can also, once you're sort of fully fledged and become an experienced volunteer, there's all sorts of extra things you can do, like join our CV writing clinics and write CVs for people. You can become a specialist in a subject. We've got the specialist beneficiary advocates, employment support people, tenancy support people. You can go on our management committee. There's so much more involved. You know, you don't just do 3 hours a week. And the other thing is we're very, very committed to training. So every time something new happens, new legislation, like there's new child support changes coming in, we update our volunteers. So they go to training once a week to keep up to date with information as well.
Gee, that's great. So you're not only giving, you're receiving as well if you come along.
Yep,
So,
and you're learning, so your brain will never go slow.
oh, well, I might need a bit of that actually, because, you know, I'm sure they've heard me stumble a few times before. And sometimes I do have to read the news a couple of times before we get it right. So we could use a bit of brain training. So tell me a little bit about your Awareness Week now that's happening next week.
Yep, next week. It's a national week throughout New Zealand where all bureaus just try and plug their service a bit more than normal. Really raise awareness amongst the community that we're here to help and what services we have to offer. So we're having a night in the market, the night market next Thursday, where I should have brought one out. We're going to give away our little new fridge magnets we've got for people and information about the bureau, and we're also going to be in the library one day next week as well. But just, you know, to raise awareness of what we do. There's a lot of people use us. We have close to 20,000 people a year use us, but there's a heck of a lot of people who don't know what we do. And, you know, they don't know how we're funded or the types of services we offer. So this is just a week where we can promote ourselves.
Brilliant. And so you want to encourage people to use your services because at the end of the day, you know, if they're coming along, knowledge is power, education is empowerment. Healthy minds, healthy community.
Yes, and that's the whole thing. We like to empower people to solve their own problems really, but with us giving them the helping hand.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. So how can people get involved? How can they get in touch with you? Whereabouts are you? All of those kind of details.
Well, for the new volunteers, we do have a closing date, and that's Friday the 20th of March, and there is a small application form you have to fill out. So if people are interested in that, or if you're interested in using our service, we're in Community House at 1115 Haupapa Street between the library and the information centre on the ground floor, and we're open Monday to Friday 9 to 5:30, or you can ring us on 0800 367 222 or contact us by email.
There you go. Now let's finish off now with what you've enjoyed and what our volunteers that are out there that might be wanting to give you a bit of a call, what have you enjoyed about it? What have you got out of it?
Well, I've been there 12 years now, so I must like quite a lot of it. I think it's just no one day is ever the same. You know, you just don't know what's going to happen when you walk through the door. And whilst my role's not really to go out and assist the clients, you know, I'm there as backup to the volunteers, and because I'm there every day, I've got a huge knowledge of things. So it's just that helping and seeing people leave with their shoulders back, feeling a little bit more confident about life, and then just meeting all those wonderful volunteers we have in there.
Oh, well, there we go. I think we'd have to crown this lady our #1 city good sort. Thank you so much. Thank you so much,
you.
Jane, for your time and all the very best with everything you do.
Thanks very much.
Kia ora.
How exciting. We have the Opera in the Park coming up very, very shortly. Trevor and Maxwell and I are going to have a quick rundown of Opera in the Park, Te Matatini, and also Iwi Partnership. But first off, we'll go to Te Matatini because it's obviously just been and gone, and it was wonderful, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely fantastic, Mel. Yes, so it was. I was down there for 6 days with a new role as a life member of Te Matatini. We were invited to be there. There's about half a dozen of us left, and was able to relax and get the big picture of Te Matatini. It was an absolutely fantastic event, like it is every 2 years, and it's been going since 1972, and I think I've only missed 3.
You've only missed 3. Well, there you go. Your heart's in the right place.
Oh, yes.
Now, apart from the calibre of performers and all the hapus that have gotten involved to bring this together and to display the best of the best,
Yeah.
what really impressed me was the diversity of spectators at that event. They were all diverse.
Oh, very much so. And we've always tried to encourage that over the years. That it's, even though I love having our visitors from overseas and that, even though they mightn't understand the language and everything, music and dance and the passion gets through to them. And it is good to see them there, enjoying it. Right, even right in amongst our people from two to toothless, they're all enjoying themselves.
That's right. Okay, so let's talk about now Opera in the Park, which is obviously the next big thing that you've taken on board, or that you are running this year. A brief background for our community who may not know about Opera in the Park.
All right, we started this some 15 odd years ago. Opera in the Park. Bill and Gay Kingy, who've attended many operas in Auckland and Wellington and overseas. We go along to the New Zealand area, watch our artists there, watch our Maori singers and Pacific Island singers competing against the best in the world, and we just got together. I was working at Te Puia at the time, and put our heads together and said, hey, let's do something for not only for our Maori singers and people who are trying out in that beautiful art form, but let's hold it here in Rotorua, where they don't have to people don't have to travel all the way to Auckland, find accommodation, and then go and see the shows, and make it affordable. And so many years ago, our very first one held out at Te Puia, I think it was $10 a head. Well, people came, but it meant they could also relax in front of the beautiful meeting house. We didn't have to set up any props or anything, just beautiful lighting and a good sound system. And not only was it good for our Maori, but it was good for the whole community of Rotorua. And we've kept it up over the years, although we had a break for the last 2 years. We've got a good group of committee that do it voluntarily, because we just love bringing events to Rotorua. What a beautiful place to have the geysers in the background, the steam rising. So it gave it a unique kind of flavour too. And we've had people over the years, youngsters like Rua Kitty Fairhall, who was a little boy, he went out there, watched everything, loved it. Daddy, I want to sing opera. Oh, so he goes for lessons in Auckland. He's sung there at our event. Ben Makisi, and even the old Solomeo boys, who were youngsters, came there. And okay, we can't afford them now, but it's wonderful. It's been so good over the years.
It really is important to point out the blending of the Māori culture and opera as well. Brilliant. Yeah. Let's talk about what day and time it's on this year, just for our locals, so that they can make sure they attend Opera in the Park.
Oh yes, it's held on Saturday the 21st of March, and gates open there at 6 o'clock, and we get underway with a mihi around about 7 o'clock. Welcome the artists in, and then have an enjoyable evening. People can can sit on the grass in the front, or seats, and enjoy a picnic hamper or something, but enjoy it.
And just for more information for any of our viewers, where would they go?
They go to Ticketmaster to buy their tickets, or even on the day out there. But I think save lining up in queues, buy it at Ticketmaster.
Thank you very much, Trevor, for your time.
Kia ora.
Kia ora.
That was Rotorua Lakes Councillor Trevor Maxwell talking to Melanie Groves. You can catch up with City News via our website or YouTube channel, City News Rotorua. Thanks for joining us tonight. From the team at City News, Pomaria.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.
City News on TV Rotorua was proudly brought to you by Trade Central.